Call to order.
Mr. Gilmore.
Yes.
Mr. Lanfair.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Dr. Painter.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes. We'll now pause for a moment of silence. All right. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Gonzalez, are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
No, there are not.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
You have a motion and a second.
Mr. Lanfair.
Yes.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Dr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes. I need a motion for certification of closed matters and discuss in closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to certify that personnel matters discussed in closed session was according to section 2.2-3711A1.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Dr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Yes.
Mr. Lanfair.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes. Citizen comment. None at this time? That's getting shorter. Okay. And review of minutes. The minutes that are on board docs are there for us to review for the 24th for approval. Informational items. Dr. Painter.
I think we're just coming back to the discussion of if it was possible to move from the second and fourth Monday to a different, was it second and fourth?
Yes.
Yeah.
To a different day in that week. For myself, because of a new job starting July 1st. But I am going to leave it up to everyone else if we can make any other day work.
There's been some discussion back and forth with the county, so which doesn't work for them?
They would prefer us to stay within the second and fourth week. However, they do know that, they can't dictate to us what we have to do, but, so that.
And what reason are they giving for second and fourth?
So that was all in the updates. The second and fourth week, it just helps with the way that they have, I guess, their cash flow stuff set up, so.
As they do
payment.
their payouts?
Mhm.
Okay. It's the pleasure of the board. I know there was a mention in there moving it to Tuesday, but you can't because of Board of Supervisors. Moving it to Wednesday, not necessarily is great because of churches on Wednesday night. So then the final one was on Thursday. So how does Thursday work for?
But I thought the supervisors meet on the second and fourth.
Yes.
That was the first and third.
I thought that too, so,
Well, hold on, give me a second. I can tell you
I
what's on my
think
calendar.
it's the first and third.
Okay. Oh, because we're second and fourth. Yes, they're first and third Tuesday. We're second and fourth Monday.
So we can go
Confirm that.
Tuesday.
I will
can't
look
do
right now for
Tuesdays.
you.
you can't do Tuesday anyway?
I teach the JMU on Tuesday nights.
Okay, so Tuesday's out, Wednesday's out for church, so now we're either on Thursday. How's Thursday?
That works for me.
Thursday's fine. Tommy,
Whatever.
Thursday's fine?
I
Okay.
guess if you want me to hang around here.
And I guess it's gonna be, Thursday's good with
Yes.
you?
Yes, I'm correct. First and third.
First and third, yeah.
So Amy's
Brother, you're correct.
Thursday, well, Tuesday then. So if it's first and third, we can do a Tuesday.
Well, but
No,
Dr.
she
Painter.
can't make it
Oh,
all.
that's right, she can't, we already went that route. So is Thursday, I'm presuming it's good for you, Dr. Painter? And Mr. Painter, Thursday good for you?
Yeah, there's no reason that can't be.
Okay,
Yeah, staying away from Wednesday's a good thing for me, so.
okay, so it sounds like the
I
board is,
oh God.
the board is fine with moving it to Thursday, but that's the first meeting in July, correct?
Right, because that's when you start,
That would be
right?
the starting time, yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna be the second and fourth Thursday. Can you make that change?
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And that calendar will come to us on the 24th, and we'll vote on it then, because it's an informational item right now.
But it's the 15th of July would be our first
So it's gonna be the second Thursday,
meeting.
second,
Second,
fourth.
also be the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Same time, same.
Yeah,
everything.
That's your vacation.
Kind of things like that. Okay.
And typically, do we just have one meeting in July, or that's by the board when that gets close to that
Yeah, you
time?
all
Is that how it is? Okay.
Yeah, so why don't we get a proposed schedule out next meeting? And we can
She'll get that.
in.
She's gonna work on that.
All right, perfect.
Because if the 8th doesn't work for some of us because of being away for vacation or something.
Yeah, the reason I said something is like July 1st is on a Thursday.
That's
That's
a,
the first, then the first week with the supervisor meets on the 5th.
Mhm.
So, but the second Thursday is the 8th, which would be the
Yeah.
same week of the supervisors.
And we have to
yeah, that's weird.
use
So
common.
technically, you would go to maybe the 15th and the 27th.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, it's just how the days fall.
It's just crazy how on that first one. Okay.
Just tell me when to show up.
That's
So
fine.
when she does it, we can pick our date, if we're gonna do 2 or 1.
Whenever, 7 weeks.
You typically only have one in November.
And December. November and December is 1, yeah. Okay, informational items, monthly financials, Ms. Sechrist.
Good evening, board. You all have been provided with the monthly financial report where expenditures and revenues for April were $3,093,523.43, along with the local match report that we did balance with the treasurer. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
I have a question. We're 83.3% through the year. And I know debt service is separate and apart.
Yes.
But technology is at 84. So is that slowing down some?
I believe that, yes, it will be. I mean, we're watching our end of the year spend down very closely now and working on some projections for some of the final spending for the fiscal year,
Okay, because it's just over
just a smidge.
the fiscal year. And then same thing for, I guess the revenue really doesn't matter that way.
You see that increase there of the federal money because of the COVID funds.
And we're getting more in sales tax because
Yes.
that money, that percentage is up.
Yes, sir.
So we're getting more money than what was predicted in.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Good. All right, that's all the questions I have. Any others? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on.
Thank you.
Ms. Jeffrey. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Jeffries, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I come to you today to start our updating process of our school wellness policy. And we are in the midst of completing our triennial assessment that is required by the United States Department of Agriculture. We have about half of our schools that have done their school level assessment at this point. And our wellness committee has been working, on a every other week kind of basis. We did take a policy template that came directly from the Virginia Department of Education. And items that are in the dark red color are items that we have changed or modified. Most of it is changing terminology that we use here in the county or referencing Page County Public Schools. I wanted to bring it to you initially just to get your thoughts on most of this. We did decide as a committee to start from the VDOE policy template rather than take our existing policy and try to make it match all of the required individual parts of requirements, both by the Department of Agriculture and the Virginia Department of Education. Some new things for us. The main new thing is the allowance of up to 10 days of school-sponsored fundraisers that would be exempt from Smart Snacks regulations. Our prior policy does not allow for any sale of meals to occur that do not meet the guidelines for Smart Snacks set forth by the Department of Agriculture. Smart Snacks guidelines limit calories, salt, sugar, those kind of things. And that was brought forth as some of our organizations within the division use fundraisers of food items that do not meet those Smart Snacks qualifications. Additionally, Page County previously had been caffeine-free, except for decaffeinated coffees and teas, which Smart Snacks only allows at the high school level, as it is. And the committee did decide to keep that caffeine-free, with, again, the exception of decaf coffee and tea, into the proposed policy for you. I again came today, I know you only got this a few moments ago, so I came to kind of give you a heads up for, to give you your thoughts. I do appreciate Mr. Googler and Dr. Painter have been active participants on the committee with us. And I will take any suggestions or concerns or questions that you have. I will be coming back to you once all of our school level assessments are done, in addition with the division assessment of the policy, to see if we need to make any additional modifications or changes.
I have had several families ask not to receive meals on weekends or whatever because they don't need it. And they said, I said, well, you don't always have to even qualify. It's just, that's how the program is. But anyway, they said they've never applied for them or anything, and they don't understand why they're getting them, and they don't want them. So I just.
And all the children have to do is say that they don't want them. No child is made to take any of those meals. So all they have to say is, I don't want it, and or they don't have to pick it up if it's offered. So sometimes it's just offered where the child would take it themselves.
Okay. I'll make that known. Thank you.
And I have a question. The policy EFE,
Yes, sir.
wow, this is one to Lance, Mr. Moran. Is there a VSBA policy that matches up with this, and this would be more of a regulation, or?
I'd have to investigate that. I'm not sure if there is or not.
Okay.
Okay, it depends. I have to look at the policy.
Okay.
I can put that in the update on Friday if you'd like.
Okay. Sorry, Ms. Jeffries, I know it's referred to as a policy for you and at DOE, but as far as the way the board does policy VSBA, it's sort of a separate meeting to what it means to the board and the board doc. So that's why I was asking that question.
No problem.
Board have any other questions for Ms. Jeffries?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jeffries. Quarterly updates, Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you, Board. As part of our new strategic plan, we are still monitoring our data on a quarterly basis, our annual operating plans that were devised at the division level and at the school levels. And so here tonight, we have Mr. Benson and Mr. Moran, who are going to report out for the third quarter as it pertains to each of their houses of the school division. So who would like to go first, Mr. Moran or Mr. Benson?
I'll go ahead and start. So you have two documents that Mr. Moran and I passed out, so if you want to kind of be paying attention. One side of the document says annual operating plan monitoring instruction, so that's January to March. Quarter 3 included our time in January and basically right through the beginning of April, so March. So you're going to want to have that document. That's the instructional side, and then the operations side is the other document that says human resources and business operations, because I know there was a lot of handouts passed out tonight.
Yeah.
I'm missing them. I don't have them on the dark. I don't think I did. Hello, never
Okay.
mind, I'm sorry.
Good.
I'm sorry.
So just a reminder for the board's sake, like Dr. Gonzalez said, this is our strategic plan for this year, and we had 7 focus areas that we gave to you when we first did this. That included the engage, encourage, empower, exemplary workforce, the organizational effectiveness, the learning environments, and then the families and communities portion. So when we came to you the last time and we gave our KPIs, we tried to give you some highlights of different things that were going on in each one of those areas. So for tonight, we've done that for quarter 3. So really where that starts in your document in the instructional side is actually on page 3 at the very bottom, where it says quarter 3 actions, January to March, and then engage. And so if you remember back, the engage portion of this deals with data monitoring, it deals with instruction and technology. So we've tried to give you some updates. We did do quite a bit of mid-year student achievement data monitoring. We got data from PALS. We did give division benchmarks. And then we also began the iReady platform in our quarter 3. We continue to be in classrooms conducting observations. And then we've made some pretty large purchases here recently. We went ahead and purchased the ELA curriculum for next year, the math curriculum at the middle school level. And then, as you see here tonight, we've also been slowly implementing the Promethean panels as part of that technology. So this quarter, for quarter 3, we actually did put 41 panels out in classrooms as well. For the encourage section, so if you're on the back, if you're just kind of following along, you flip over. We continue to engage our families through a couple of different ways. Through the food delivery, like Ms. Jeffries referenced. We are still delivering instructional packets, and then the division has begun the porch visits, so it's been another way. We are still working through the trauma-informed resilient school strategies, and then we began to investigate some other partnerships regarding that work. We've worked with PACA, and most recently we had some folks from Northwestern come in and work with the instructional team. And then maybe you saw on Facebook last week, we celebrated the entire PCPS staff as part of Teacher Appreciation. And so there were a lot of different events and things going on, and I believe some of you participated in those. So as part of our Encourage strategy, we wanted to list the different appreciation celebrations and things going on. And then this quarter, the Empower strategy has focused on a couple of things. Mr. Harlow out at Stanley has been helping us with our elementary ACP, our academic career portfolio, and developing that. We've done that at the middle and high level, but we're really starting to look at student interest at the elementary level and tracking that. So as they start to think about classes they're taking or what they want to do in their life, we're going to kind of have that as a plan. Again, the SEL curriculum, and that's important. And then this year and I think we've already hinted at some of this, as part of next year's planning, as part of the unfinished learning that's happened, we've actually looked at monitoring some of the bell schedules and putting some time in different places and how we use that time. So we've begun to do some of that. And then I'll hit the last one, exemplary, and then maybe Lance, you want to come in on your side for that? Okay. And so then exemplary workforce is all about developing our staff, and we've continued to do that through different professional development opportunities. And we listed some of those. From the special ed world, Page County Public Schools is now we're going to adopt the Virginia IEP system. So a lot of the different trainings and things have been around that adoption.
And to continue on our side of it, for human resources and business operations, we look primarily at that exemplary workforce and organizational effectiveness. Again, with this handout, you're going to want to look at this last page, front and back. That has a lot of what we're working on in regards to that. Under January through March, we've completed those exit interview questions for our June survey. We're still working on job satisfaction survey, first year teacher survey. We're working on that. We've completed a salary scale comparison spreadsheet that we shared and worked with finance in that regard to update our salary scale to make them more competitive. We are utilizing EVA for state contract research for vehicle purchases. We recently used that for looking at purchasing vans and trucks. We're preparing updated documentation for initial ITB and EVA. Restructured small purchasing policy, we completed that. Researching Virginia School Division procurement manuals to begin creating one meeting Page County Public School needs. We're still working on that. Hire replacement, we have been hiring replacement personnel, training them on preventative maintenance tasks prior to the retirement of key personnel. We're still working on that. Of course, daily driver inspection reports, monthly maintenance reports, and regularly update and monitor the capital improvement plan. Those are all things that are being worked on under those two sections.
So from the instructional side, if you are following along, the organizational effectiveness, this is all about improving our time and leveraging maybe technology to do so. We continue to utilize the Blue Ink electronic signature software, which has been extremely handy. We are still supporting two different learning models, the virtual environment and the in-person. And then from the technology side, you know, I think the board's aware we put a lot of different technology in our students and staff's hands. And now we've come back and said, okay, how do we protect that investment? And so we've purchased cases for our Chromebooks, especially at the elementary level. That population in middle school level, that population doesn't seem to be as careful with those devices. So you can see, you know, it came back and just making sure, putting a case around them, almost over 1,700 cases we purchased to try and protect those. And that makes sense. That's about, you know, protecting the screens. If you talk to Blake, he'll tell you that the screens are becoming more difficult and more expensive. And so if we can do everything we can to protect that, we want to do that. We also did purchase 300 iPads for our youngest learners. From the learning environment standpoint, we have completed our revisions for the middle school and high school program of studies. And those documents are up on the Page County Public School website. So if you have a minute, I would encourage you to check those out. Scheduling at both levels has begun at middle and high school level for next year. And they're taking advantage of those resources there. And then just thinking about some other things that have gone on. for Bulldog Field, we did not have internet access down there, so we worked with the county to make sure we could get a signal there. And then the Promethean project has been pretty awesome. Our staff is excited, and students are up and using them, and I think there's going to be some plans in the works to hopefully purchase a few more of those panels and make that technology more widespread in our schools. And then the last one is the communities, the engaged communities and families. Schoology and Aptogy, we continue to use those technologies, and we'll talk about that. Several of us went over and visited Dynamic Aviation in this quarter, and that was an interesting visit, not to just learn about the aviation side of what's going on over there, but to learn about all the other programs, the things that we do have here in Page County that would support that. Pretty impressive facility and what they have going on with their government contracts. Dynamic Aviation is looking to have our youngest learners or our middle school learners begin thinking about a career in aviation. And so they have a program that they call Next Gen Aviators, and we're looking to send our middle schoolers over next year to just kind of get a feel and see what's going on over there. And then if you look at the bottom, we did our best to try to just update our numbers. You'll see some increases in certain areas and you'll see decreases. A couple of things that maybe you want to just take note of. As students have come back to school, and I think we shared some of those in-person numbers with you at the last meeting, discipline has increased. We've seen a few more infractions just because we've got more kids back in the buildings. We see more students kind of being placed in some of our alternative education settings in different places. But then again, there's other places where, things I would say we're still holding strong, still almost at 96% for our attendance rate. And then, still out visiting homes, and it's particularly at the elementary level. The high schools have, I would say, resorted more so to making calls and doing things that way, but our elementary folks are still knocking on doors and doing that. I don't believe there's anything else in terms, so this was January to the end of March. So at our next quarterly report, we would like to report kind of April through June. Obviously, as part of that report, will include some SOL test results and different things.
Okay. I have a question. On some of these things that you have the dates on, particularly January, February, and then August of 2020, some things say ongoing, which is fine, but July 2020 says implementing. Is it still being implemented or is it ongoing?
Organizational effectiveness.
Well, that's just one of them because it's throughout, but.
So you're asking for what is the difference between those two words, Mr. Breeden?
Yeah, if you're looking at organization, I'll use
Yeah, so we should have used one or the other. I would say that those were used vice versa. Those are the same thing. Ongoing and implementing are should have been the same term. So we should have had a common language there.
Okay, because to me, implementing is you're implementing a plan that you get, and ongoing is you've already implemented it. You're just working through it.
Yeah. So like I agree with what you just said. So it should have said ongoing rather than implement.
Okay.
Yep.
Just double checking on that. So. Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay. Thanks, everyone. Next on the agenda is informational. It's graduation update.
Okay. So we have a handout for that as well. It's the handout with the map on the front cover, and we had come to you a few meetings ago, and we began to discuss our outdoor graduation plans. But if you're following along with the governor's executive orders, and particularly number 72, you know that things are changing. And so we wanted to just come to you tonight and kind of update you now that we're less than 2 weeks away from graduation. So our date is still May the 22nd, and we have Luray High School in the morning and Page County High School in the afternoon. If you remember, the maps are important because they discuss square footage, and those numbers are important as we start to talk about capacity. So if you flip over, you remember when we first presented this, we were at 30%. Okay, the governor's orders changed on May the 15th, or will change on May the 15th, and we can now go to 50%. So what that does is, I gave you some examples there. What that does is allows for more people to be attend the graduation. Previously, we had tickets limited to 10, and we would like to propose tonight that we're going to go to 15. You can see one of the two high schools has a little less ground to work with, so to speak, and we want to keep it the same, so we're going to say 15 at both high schools. It's fair.
Okay, let me stop you right there.
Yep.
I don't know if the rest of you received those phone calls. I've received several. Mr. Griffith being one of them, speaking to this item specifically. So just want to point that out. It is being raised. So hopefully those phone calls will subside, and
They wanted more tickets or?
yeah, they were still going off on that and wanting to know about when we were going to update our side for more tickets based on what the governor's order had said. And I had spoke with you, I think via text, and you said, wait, it's coming out
Right.
with the update tonight.
Exactly.
So, and that's what I passed along to those parents who contacted me. So hopefully they're all listening tonight and they now know it's 18 tickets.
No, 15.
15 tickets. I'm just reading the wrong one underneath
Yeah.
the other one, but it's 15, previously 10. So I think that will make some happy. Thank you.
So an increase of 5 more tickets. Hopefully that helps out. Under the event details, there weren't necessarily any changes there. We're still playing the same mitigation strategies. But the seating did change. We tried to make some of the changes in red so you can kind of keep track of what's going on. Obviously, you remember families are going to bring their own seating to the event, and previously they had to be 10 feet from the next pod, from the next group of that would be attending. Now that's gone down to 6 feet. We gave you some details as to how handicap seating is going to work. Previously, both Luray High School was going to go with recorded music, and Paige was actually going to sing. Both high schools are now going to sing, so that's a little bit of a change. Practice has been planned, so you can see those dates and times. And then last Friday, we met with Mr. King to talk about the live stream and how that's going to work. So families that do not attend, and maybe this helps Mr. Breeden with some of the comments the board's been receiving, there will be a live streaming option. So if you feel like you can't make it and don't have enough tickets, you could always watch it virtually live.
I explained that, but they want to come from out of town to see it in person.
Gotcha. And then the big change is, since we're going outdoors for our graduation ceremonies this year, we also have to have a backup plan. We have to have an indoor plan. And so the gymnasium is the largest space that we have to do that. We will basically have 2 different ceremonies going on. That's just simply because of size. So if you think about the graduating class, you'll be splitting that in half and doing half of them at 9 and the second half at 11 if you're at Luray, or if you're at Page, half of them at 3 and the other half at 6. Once we go inside, things get a whole little bit different. Now we're talking just 5 tickets. And then we gave you some ideas of how that is. We've actually brought out the tape measures and started to lay some tape down on the bleacher seats, and to make sure the school division's in compliance with the governor's order. That's about what the maximum that we're going to be at. There is one slight change with either high school. So with Luray, they're going to actually have chairs on the floor in the gymnasium that will just be for graduates. And at Page, graduates will sit with their family members. So they're trying to get a little bit more space and have a few more pods on the main floor, but graduates are going to sit with family.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Because previously, before when we talked about this, that the only way to move inside is if there was lightning. So with inclement weather, is it the lightning effect now, or is it rain as well?
Well, if it's going to be a complete washout, we would rather, I think, go inside and have it be a ceremony that everyone can enjoy. Lightning is a definite, yes, we have to go inside at that point. We've got speakers and all kinds of electrical equipment. I think that the plan that we were hoping to do is look at the forecast, make a decision on
By Friday night.
Friday night as to where our ceremony was going to be.
So
When practice occurs, students will get tickets for both. They'll get tickets for an outdoor event and tickets for an indoor event.
and then that will be called on Friday for
Friday
the,
night.
for
Friday
the
night.
Saturday event?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Just so everybody's clear that if it's a rainy forecast, it could be called on Friday to be moved inside and you would move to your indoor tickets.
I think we're going to do everything we can to have an outdoor
Yes.
ceremony.
Okay,
It's gonna have to pretty much be a real downpour.
okay.
100% chance of rain. We're expecting several inches, just, and it's, that sort of thing. If it's not that, we're going to be outside.
Okay,
And we've met with Mr. King again, and he's prepared for both. He's prepared to live stream outside, and he's prepared to live stream inside.
so light drizzle, you could still be
So we're
outside.
still going to be outside.
Okay, just want to make sure, clear to the parents and everybody who's watching. Okay. Any questions? Questions or concerns from the board?
I just hope that everyone will understand a lot of time and effort has gone into all of this. And everybody wants it to be, the best it can be outside. But if it's weather, go ahead and decide who's going to get 5 of those tickets, and don't wait till the last minute. Go ahead and have that plan of action, because you can't predict the weather. And I don't care what the weather forecast says, things happen.
Right.
Make those decisions now. Don't wait till the day before or whatever. And everybody should understand. We're going by the health guidelines given to us by the state, and we have to we have to go by that. It's not, we're trying to keep anybody out, but don't wait till the last minute. You're hearing it. Your seniors are getting this information. Make sure those decisions get
And
made.
it is clearly communicated with all the seniors how this is going to work.
Both schools have sent a letter home with families to
Okay.
explain this process. This
Do
is
much more now.
something that's happened. Both schools are prepared to begin setting up the gymnasium next week, early next week, and we will be prepared either way.
So letters have went out to tell parents what's going to go on with the,
Yep.
with the 15 and 5 and indoor, outdoor, what makes that call and, okay.
And how things will be marked and how will they sign up for where their pot is, all that's been explained.
All that information's in that letter.
Sir,
Okay. And if someone still has questions, who do they contact?
they should contact their high school.
Their high school principal or high school building administrators? Okay.
And just to say one other thing, at JMU last weekend, families had X number of tickets to get into that graduation. And it was all planned ahead of time, so anybody that came should have known there was so this is no different. We're abiding by what we have to do.
And for the board's sake, I think it should be noted, we've limited the number of dignitaries and other guests, so we trying to give families the maximum number of opportunities to attend.
That's that statement that you have to read. Okay. Any other questions from the board for Mr. Benson on the graduation? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Benson. Yeah, okay. We're moving on to approval of the superintendent search FOIA notification. We have to give the notification for 15 days if we're doing interviews. We'll do one tonight. We'll have to do it on the 24th because we run out of days from tonight to meet the 15 days. So we'll do it again next board session as well. So, Ms. Moody.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Page County School Board announce pursuant to the provisions of Virginia Code 2.2-3712B that the board intends to hold closed meetings at an undisclosed location within the next 15 days for the purpose of interviewing candidates for the position of Chief Administrative Officer, specifically the Division of Superintendent.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Thank you.
Mr. Planer,
Yes.
Dr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Lansbury.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Freed.
Yes. Moving on to our other action item. claims for payment. Ms. Seacrest?
Yes, good evening again, board. You all have been provided with the claim certification with the operating fund of $336,637.53. Food service, $24,196.52 for a total of $360,834.05. Along with that, you've been provided the list of claims as well as the check register. If you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them.
Any questions for Ms. Seacrest? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the claims for payment?
I make a motion that we approve the claims for payment as presented.
I have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Lanfair.
Yes.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving on to the next action item is purchase orders over 10,000. Ms. Seacrest?
Yes, good evening again, board. We do have 3 purchase orders over 10,000 for your approval this evening.
It's taking forever.
Okay. We have one for,
The internet's.
Do you want me to read it?
it does, I can read it.
Oh.
Yes, sir, thank you. There we go.
Very good.
Okay, we have one for cyber recovery vault, that's 40,000. McGraw-Hill Middle School math curriculum, that is the, math curriculum that we're trying to get for, is that K through 5?
6 to 8.
I'm sorry, 6 or 8 middle school. I should read what I just read, right? Middle school. It's been a long day. And then, one to achieve one for Dell servers. If, you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer them.
Are those textbooks the one in the middle?
Yes, sir.
Textbooks, middle school?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. What's the cyber recovery vault?
Mr. Samples?
So that is actually a golden copy of all of the data that's being backed up off of all the servers across the division. Essentially what it does is it takes a copy of the data, the backup copy, copies it once per day, and then shuts that down. So that if we're compromised, we still have a clean copy of all of that data to then restore to our servers.
And it does the student information system.
No, we're actually going to move to hosted for that, so that's not going to be part of that. That's just all the data that resides on all of our servers within the building.
So when you say that that's going to be hosted, that's on,
That's going to be
Power
at-
School?
At Power School, right?
okay, so that's a change for us. But now what about food service? Are they underneath this vault and protected as well?
No, their servers are now, I think they're all hosted as well. They moved to Link, was it? And they now no longer use the server that's at Page Middle.
Okay, so that data isn't housed locally, it's housed somewhere else and it's
I believe so.
secure. This is only for all the other data.
Correct. This is all just school servers and functions
And settings for all the computers and, okay,
and all the data that resides on our network.
and teacher folders and stuff like that. Okay, all right. Okay, do you have a motion to approve the purchase orders for over 10,000?
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the purchase orders over $10,000 as presented.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second.
Mr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Lanfair.
Yes.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Dr. Painter.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yeah,
The motion.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question relating to this topic?
The purchase over 10,000?
Yes. I know it'll be clearer when I say it. How would the board feel about us having an approval verbally from you all or either via purchase order of a limit of no more than in order to buy the truck? Because every time we have to go around and get everyone's
You have to do
okay.
the poll.
And the poll, by the time we get the poll answer, we keep losing the trucks. So I would like to ask the board to give us either some sort of yay, nay approval of letting us pull the trigger and then bring the at a certain price point. Just tell us what not to go over. So, because we keep losing out because of our process and we need to make a shortcut somehow.
What's the price point in the budget?
Mr. Moran, this is yours.
30,000.
30,000? Okay. Well, then I think you have that answer.
I'm
Are we able
board.
to pull the trigger when we see the next deal?
I'm fine with that. Rest of the board.
The only question I had last time was where the money was coming from. So
That one?
we know that when
This is end of season money and
Yeah.
end of year money.
Yes.
Okay. So we're all fine with that?
We're using our stimulus check.
But it still come as a
We'll
purchase
bring the,
order.
we'll bring the purchase order
For
to you after
approval.
we get it right, but it's just like we need to be able to act on it if we could, and that's why we'd like to have your permission to do so.
Okay, there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to approval of the final budget. Dr. Gonzalez?
All right. Mr. Chairman and rest of the school board, we are bringing to you tonight the final budget. I would like to first of all give my sincere thanks to Ms. Patty Seacrest and Barbie, who's been helping her tremendously to pull all this together. It's just been a phenomenal budget season. I also have to give thanks to the Board of Supervisors. I believe we've really worked well on our relationships to make headway, and we're very grateful for the monies given to us, because I'd like our staff to know that it's going to be able to go towards the raise. And so we're real excited to be able to announce that. I don't anticipate us not voting on that tonight, but I want our staff to know that that is a priority of the board and as far as the cabinet, and we do appreciate the support of the Board of Supervisors. They really came through for us to be able to do this. With that said, we're also working, and we have worked on the pay scales. We have this part of the pay scale that's kind of like a belly, where the middle of the road folks have kind of been left behind. So I think our staff will be excited to see the improvements we've made on that. And with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Ms. Patty Seacrest to continue with the presentation.
Great. Good evening again, board. You all have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. It's pretty short and sweet. Looks very similar to some things that we've seen throughout our work that we've done over the past couple of months. Just some updated numbers and things. So if you guys go to the next slide there, this budget does reflect an increase in expenditures over our current budget of $949,130 or 2.35%. And that, again, remember, is with that debt service removed. The county is taking that from our general ledger. So that is just an updated expenditure chart there. And then you also have the pie chart. The 21-22 school board approved budget does include $29.4 million for instruction. That accounts for 71% of our operating budget, and we've talked about how phenomenal that is before. This includes an average 5% salary increase for all employees. We were able to do this by deferring some positions, leveraging our COVID funds, and we were able to address the teacher salary scale. So if you have a packet there as well. The teacher salary scales are the ones that we started with and addressed, and working on that belly curve that Dr. Gonzalez talked about. So the first two there are your teachers with the bachelor's and then with the master's. This does have all of the scales in it, administrative. After the first two, the average 5% was added to the current salary scale to provide us with this salary scale that you see now for all of these others. Again, you can look through those. There's several, I think there's 13 of them. Clerical pay scales. We have the updated substitute scale, supplements, coaches. They are all in that packet. But again, we were able to address the teacher salary scales for the division and making some steps in becoming more competitive with our surrounding areas as we've discussed before.
Just a quick question. The teacher bachelor and master's is the only scale that we looked at doing the 1% across. The others are not matched up to that, so all these others who follow after is not lined up to that same formula, correct?
Right. They have not been addressed to be fixed, so to speak, yet. We were able to use the money that we had to focus on our teacher scales first.
You'll still enjoy an average 5%.
Yes, they still did get the raise.
But they're not necessarily getting a step and a 1% or a step and 2%.
No, because of the way the scale is, the average of
Okay.
the 5. And again, it's our hope, in the future to be able to take time to fix those scales if the funds are available to address all of our scales.
Okay.
Yes,
But everybody in the county
we'll get them,
will get it.
yes.
Regardless of whatever step that they may be on now or in the future, they're still getting a 5% bump,
An
average.
An
an
average.
average.
Yes, sir.
Remember the top end and the bottom end.
Yeah, okay.
It's-
An average.
Yes, sir. Okay, so then we move on to our revenues, and based on the Department of Education calculations for the Page County Public Schools projected enrollment, we are hopefully going to see some increase in state revenue and the state and sales tax. Our local funding did increase by $641,352, which is 6.2%. I know this slide does not look like that represents that. That is because of that debt service being removed from this year. So it does make that look off, and we had talked about that before.
Is that something that rarely happens, the debt is being removed?
There are some divisions who do that, and in the first year of doing that, it does make your numbers look off because they're not really taking that funding away. They're just taking it from our books, and they will be dealing with it. So next year it will look more normal, I guess. And in comparison, no, there are other divisions who do that. Yes, sir. The counties take care of that. State revenues are where primarily where our money comes from, 61%. We do have 27% from the county, and then the remainder are from federal and other funding sources. Our last slide is just a total overview. We have a total operating budget at $41,381,005. You can remember that we created that fund too, that CIP fund. The Board of Supervisors adopted the budget without any appropriation for capital improvements. However, it was discussed that they would use a portion of their funds, their fund balance, to fund both their capital improvements as well as ours. But those appropriations will be handled separately from the budget process since they were not appropriated now. So therefore, that's why there's a $0 amount there. Nutrition services did have an increase of $135,814, and that gives us a total budget of $43,439,739 for 21-22. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied. You all do also have an updated budget book. This will, once you guys adopt the final budget, will come to you color copied, bound with the pay scales and everything. This was just a final rough draft here for this evening. Once you all adopt and approve, we will get that on the website and have copies for you all as well. If you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer those.
I have one question. In the budget we're getting ready to vote for, did the mechanic make it into the budget?
So the priority list is on page 14. Well, it starts on page 13 with a summary there. And then you can see it is everything that we voted on, that you all gave your nod for on Wednesday. So it does have the salary scales, addition of 2 school counselors, middle school, Spanish teachers, maintenance worker, and then the per pupil based allocations. So those are,
No mechanic.
That was deferred,
that was deferred.
along with the other positions.
Right,
we
so
have
that
there.
gets kicked down the road again.
Yes,
Yes,
it
sir.
does.
But it's a priority. It's put back in. It's put-
Board have any other questions? Any discussion?
I appreciate your time and effort put into this.
Yes, ma'am.
I do too. Now, with my question I just asked, my vote this evening, and this is part of parliamentary procedure as I understand that you have to do, my vote this evening is going to be a no, only because of the mechanic not being added. And Oh, sorry, that is right. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we adopt the final budget as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Now, I'll finish my conversation. Only because the can keep getting kicked, and there seems to be no relief for the mechanics at the garage. I explained that more in depth to Mr. Moran and to Dr. Gonzalez. That's why my vote tonight would be a no. I'm all for the raises, I'm all for everything else, but my vote is strictly based on that.
But I think the relief is the new vehicles that we're buying. I
It's-
think there's
it's a-
going to be some relief there.
It's a small relief. I don't think it's enough. Because you're asking the ones who get the least to keep doing the most work. And to me, it's not fair. So that's why I'll say a no, based on just that. Everything else I'm fine with. It's just based on that.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay.
Mr. Lansbury.
No.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Dr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Freedom.
No.
Motion passed.
Okay, we're moving on to the next agenda item. It's approval of policy GAB. Mr. Moran?
So we have policy GAB/IIBEA, also referred to as policy IIBEA/GAB. Reason it is because one is the employee computer usage and the other an internet acceptable use policy. The other is the student computer usage, internet acceptable use policy. If you read through this policy, you get down to section 5, where it deals with web publications. Our policy states that you cannot put a student name with a student picture on the internet. Okay, that has been prohibitive for some of the organizations within our school system. FFA, FCCLA, those are receiving awards, so on and so forth. So my suggestion to the board this evening is that we amend the policy with a simple line saying that if you look at section 5 and underneath bullet 2, there are 3 other bullets, and then underneath there are several other criteria for publishing to the web. And all I'm asking is that we amend this to say that unless explicit parent permission has been given for an individual student name to be displayed with the picture. What we would do in practice with that to conform to this policy, and we would receive explicit permission from a parent if we are going to publish something on Facebook or on our web page or so on and so forth, so that that name can appear with the picture.
And would this form be given like at the beginning of the year and they'd have
We
to
already
sign
have
and
a
turn it back
form,
in?
we already have a form for the beginning of the year that covers most of these things.
Right.
But what we would do is whenever we are looking to put something on the internet, we would make sure we would go back and get written permission from a parent saying, hey, look, we're going to publish, for example, I know we have an FCCLA president. Okay, we're going to put that name with that picture, and we get your permission to do so.
Shouldn't the red part be up there at the second
Yes.
bullet instead of
Right, up there a little bit, instead of after that, you're right. It needs to
Okay.
be up there before
up there
that
when it
column.
talks about individual students and not after copyright?
That's right. It needs to be, I don't know how it got moved in, but it needs to go before that and, but that's the only point.
Yeah, because it didn't make sense to me either. Like,
Yeah.
why's that there?
Parents can't really do anything about that. Yeah. We'll put it up there right up before that.
So that includes sports as well, like if there's awards or whatever being given, it's
Whatever kind of
for
award.
everything.
Now, our policy does allow for group pictures, okay, and allows, as long as you're not putting a specific name with the picture, we already have a policy in place for that. Okay, we're looking for individual pictures to go with individual.
And is this only for Page County Public School associated ones, not like Page Valley News, because they do their own
They
thing?
do their own thing, we can't control.
So this is for
Just for us.
PCPS, right? Okay.
Any other questions? All right, so I'm assuming Yes.
Just looking at the policy, TV, we talked about, use of personal devices by employees in schools. So, I didn't see anything reflected in here about that. But we still have a line in there that they're responsible to care of the devices that they choose to bring to school. So,
So we need to investigate a little bit further. I need to talk about that. That doesn't have anything to do with that right there.
I make a motion that we approve the revision to policy GAB.
A second?
And that's with that movement of the red up. That's okay. So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Dr. Painter,
Yes.
Mr. Gabriel,
Yes.
Mr. Lansbury.
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes. And moving on to the next approval item, action item, it's amend 2021 school year calendar. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, we have, based on the feedback from the last meeting, we have updated the calendar to reflect the changes, and I'll turn the time over to Mr. Benson to explain those.
So, good evening, board. Our 2021 school calendar does not have any early releases to close out the school year. And at our last meeting, we talked about possibly adding 2 early release days. Those days would be May 27th and 28th. When we created that calendar initially, we thought that would just be B group students there that days. Now we've got both groups going back to school at both the elementary and middle school levels. And so we are requesting an early release to provide our staff some time to do the end of the year reporting that needs to happen and kind of close out and do some things at the end. So our recommendation here this evening, the amendment is that we would make May the 27th and 28th the early release for students.
You mean 26 and 27?
This is next year's, the one that you have to.
Yeah, not that one.
Oh,
We're talking about
I'm
this current
sorry.
year. We don't have a copy of that one.
Okay.
I was looking for it too. I was
I'm
lost.
sorry, I apologize.
I did the same thing.
To mirror next year's,
Right.
basically.
Basically,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Copy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right. And like I said, when we set the original schedule last year, when we put the calendar together, we had Monday and Tuesday as A group, remember? And Thursday and Friday as B group. So we just made the last 2 days early releases. That really would mean less time for the B group. That's not how this is played out this year. It's played out that we have both A and B group students all back together for the elementary and middle school. For the high school, we've checked with them. They would be doing makeup SOL tests. So they feel like at this point, the school year is just about wrapped up, but that early release would still allow them to do the testing that they need to have.
Yeah, it's actually my son's 11th grade reading SOL. So it's not a makeup, it's actual SOL day.
Now, at the high school, are students coming if they only have an SOL test? And if they don't have an SOL test, they're not coming anyway? Okay. Okay.
Less students in the building is actually to our advantage when we're doing testing.
Testing, yes, most definitely. Okay, any other questions about the 2021 school year calendar? Okay. We have a motion to amend the calendar as requested.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we amend the 2021 calendar as requested as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Gabriel,
Yes.
Mr. Lansbury,
Yes.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes. Now we'll move on to the one that's. Okay, the next item on the action item is 21-22 academic school year calendar and the staff. And just for the board's knowing, we can do 2 different things here. We can do it as a motion as one to approve or not approve, both at the same time, or pull them apart, approve one, not approve one, vice versa. So just know that going in. Has all of the remote days been taken out?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
This was reflective of the suggestions given to us at the last board meeting.
So Page County Public Schools will be using the 990 hours requirement, and we will be, have 172 instructional.
You're going by the calculations
Yes.
and on the staff calendar, no additional holiday was put in?
Additional holidays.
Okay.
We did make, note that the remote learning days, they come off, and staff can just focus on whether it's a professional development or teacher work.
But the other 2 holidays that we were looking at, they remained the same?
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
We have placed both of these calendars out there on the web, so staff in our community has had an opportunity to take a look at prior to tonight.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the 2021-22 school year calendar for academics and also for staff.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for both calendars at the same time. Amy. Dr. Painter, sorry. So I have a motion and a second to approve both calendars.
Mr. Goodman,
Yes.
Mr. Lansbury.
Yes.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Dr. Painter,
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next agenda item is amend superintendent search timeline. The only change that we're making to that is adding the May 14th. That's the extra one that we decided to take instead of doing everything on the 12th. So it's just changing that. Right now, I know we discussed moving the 26th to the 24th, but we may need to leave that one as alone for right now until we find out more information of who's moving forward and when we can move that with their schedule. So right now, it's just adding the May 14th to that calendar. Do you have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the amendment for the superintendent search timeline from the 12th only of May to the 12th and the 14th.
To include the 14th. Okay. Do I have a second? Thank you, Dr. Painter. I have a motion and a second to add the May 14th to the superintendent search timeline.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Dr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Goodman,
Yes.
Mr. Lansbury.
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
Yes. Moving on to our next agenda item, matters discussed in closed session. Do we have a motion to approve the matters discussed in closed session?
I make a motion that we accept the matters discussed in closed session pertaining to retirements, resignations,
Appointments.
appointments,
Transfers.
Renewals.
Transfers.
Transfer.
transfers,
Non-renewals.
non-renewals,
Superintendent search.
Superintendent search. Superintendent
and
search.
superintendent search.
Do I have a motion to have a second?
Second.
You, Mr. Painter. Any discussion, questions? I'm going to be voting no, only because I think,
Not yet.
well, we just took the,
Did you influence the vote?
what?
You can influence the vote if you think.
Okay,
That's fair.
go ahead.
Did you hear what
Dr.
she said?
Painter,
Yes.
Mr. Goodman,
Yes.
Mr. Lansbury,
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
I'm voting no, because I think more due process was needed for the non-renewals. Okay, moving on. Board discussion time. Any members have anything to discuss? Oh, wow, that's first. Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion for adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Dr. Painter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to adjourn.
Yes.
Mr. Buford?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan Smith?
Yes.
Yes. Adjourn.